Thank you all so much for being here, and it's really exciting to begin this very snappy, short panels this afternoon. It's going to be yeah, a very, very intense 2 hours, and we kind of thought maybe we could discuss with Maja. No, all in all, there's many panels. Yeah, no, we thought actually to call it From the Moon via the Beach to Dance with Demons, because this is a unique institutional collaboration between the Fondation Beyeler and Luma, and of course that could somehow be the departure point. We're of course going to hear also from Precious and from Philippe, because from the very beginning when Sam invited us to do this project, it was from the very beginning the idea that artists would be involved in this group, in the group we had with Sam and with Philippe and with Precious, also with Isabella Mora, who is also here, and with Mona Mekwa, all of us, you know.
Tino.
And of course Tino Sehgal, who is also here and who is going to be on the panel later. And in these groups, basically, we had many meetings, many discussions. But before we talk about that, maybe we could begin with Luma and Fondation Beyeler and hear a bit from Sam and from Maja, because it connects very much experiments we've been doing here and in Arles over many years. There was also Tempo del Postino, we did with Philippe, which happened in Manchester and Basel. And there was, of course, From the Moon via the Beach. Yeah, so maybe we can begin with Sam and Maja.
Yes, I remember. Actually, I will go back even more than 12 years ago, or when was it? I remember when Sam came to Arles when I was starting to build the center with a whole group of people who came to join us here, and in conversation with many of the artists who are showing here today, or who have been preparing this show together. So we went, it's true, we went to see Il Tempo del Postino, that was in Manchester. And for me, it was the start of a big adventure to meet all the actors who were involved in this project. And it was fun to exchange with Sam about it. But Sam had the good idea later to bring the show to Basel. And that's when he asked me if I could help. I could help a little, so I did. And it went to the Basel Theater with I think Beyeler was involved, Art Basel was involved, we a tiny little bit. And we continued to work with the artists in Arles while we were building up the center. So there are all the names that you can see here, plus there were a few others, but not so many others. This group of artists has stayed very tightly together for years, and I'm very happy that when I heard about the conversation over the 2 last years for the show here, that it was possible at the Fondation Beyeler to do such a project, that has really been a big encouragement for me also regarding what we try to do in Arles, which has not always been easy. So, to make it short, because apparently we have only 2 minutes, yeah? So, to make it short, the artists have been working together. They took over the museum. It's not the contrary. I was here only to watch and to encourage. And Sam, thank you for allowing us to participate also in this adventure that is not finished, that will continue.
Yes, this is the beginning of a great adventure. And we're very happy that we have a great group of people who want to go on this journey and excited to go into a journey into the unknown, and to explore and to experiment. It was from the beginning for this exhibition, there was a sense of longing for extraordinary art experiences, and Philippe Parreno and Ulrich Obrist have been at the core of several of such experiences, as to the Moon via the Beach in Arles, or Tempo del Postino here. And so we wanted to involve artists in every part of the process of developing the exhibition, and then also of organizing it, of presenting it. This is a lot of work from artists that is outside of what artists usually do, and we're most grateful to Philippe, to Precious, to Tino, and to all the artists involved, that not only that they made great works, but they also helped to take collective responsibility and to enchant this place and to make this exhibition, a laboratory for experimentation, and I hope good art is happening here. Yes.
And maybe that's the moment to actually ask Philippe and Precious to tell us a bit about the process, because obviously from the beginning we had this idea that it's about an entanglement, that the exhibition is a living organism, that not everybody is just going to do their piece, but that everything is somehow related, and that's something which really happened so strongly during the install. There have been so many collaborations between the artists. I mean, both Philippe and Precious collaborated closely, for example, with Fujiko Nakaya, with the folk in relation to their pieces. But there are, so many entanglements which are really integral to this creative process of the show as a living organism. It sort of began, of course, also initially with us looking for a rule of the game, because these shows which Maja and Sam were talking about, they always had a rule of the game. In Tempo del Postino, the artists were given time instead of space. It was a kind of a time-based group show. They were given 15 minutes each, and some artists took more time, but that was the rule of the game. And then we, of course, with the project at Luma, which we realized actually in all the projects from the moon via the beach, the rule of the game was very much a display feature where basically, and that was a project which involved also Tom Eccles and Beatrix Roof in the curator group, and actually Liam Giddick and Philippe came up with this idea there of a rule of the game as a display feature where sand artists transformed the arena, the arène, in Arles, initially, into a lunar landscape, but also into a beach, and all the artists had to somehow stick in their piece into the sand in a way. That was the rule of the game. And here, I remember in the early conversations, the rule of the game was that each artist would bring their demon. So could we maybe start a little bit with that?
Thanks, Sam, for being so brave, by the way, to invite us to do some crazy shit with your with your collection. But the idea was to try to see if today would make sense again to bring a group show together, which is a format with which I grew up. I grew up with this idea of a group show. Group show being an addition of artists producing something together, which is more the addition of the artist. And I grew up with that form, and then slowly it sort of faded away with the rise of biennales and triennales around the world. And the group show kind of disappears as an idea. And now we face a lot of monographies, and solo exhibitions. So I thought it was interesting to go back to this idea of a group show. And I think you did that invitation while you now expanding the foundation that's going to be doubling its size. So it was also to question also that format for the institution, and to see how we could eventually see a future, in that singular practice. So we with Precious, and we start to have a conversation about how to imagine some form of group show, and we did slowly bring together a group of players, and the rules was not really clear. We knew that you will play with the collection at some point, and engage in a way with that's how I phrase it, with our demons, something that goes through us that doesn't really belong to us, and but we're just basically crossed by ideas or by conversation, and we just there to carry them on, you know. So that was the beginning of this demon idea, and because I do believe that art is only a conversation-based practice, so we started to engage with conversation with Precious and with others, and right away we said it would be great also to invite artists, of course, but also non-visual visionaries, such as Federico Campagna, a philosopher, or Frida Escobedo, who's an architect, so and some poets. So to open a little bit more to what I think it's important to bring all these energies together, you know, to produce some form of future.
Thank you so much, Philippe. And that leads right away, Precious, to your remarks from the very beginning, where you said how essential it is to, you know, bring in poetry. And the first poet in residence is here with us today, Alice Notley. And we're going to hear from Alice at the very end, the poetry reading. Can you talk a little bit about the process from your perspective and this importance of poetry also in the mix?
I think this very natural pollination that occurred in the show of thinking through all of these different fragments of different realities brought together and thinking through poetry as this kind of like original language of memory and worlding seemed so fitting in the show, and having Alice Notley open the kind of birthing of that for today is going to be so lovely, thinking about poetry intersecting and snaking its way throughout the whole show, and even how sound works through, like Philippe's piece almost being this like tower of speaking in tongues outside, and then the fog creeping everywhere, and the Tino's like echoing through the museum as you walk through. It's beautiful. It works on its own natural rhythm, a type of tapped into the choreo sonic system.
And Precious mentions Philippe's tower, so maybe this is also the opportunity we can hear maybe from Philippe and Precious about their pieces in the show, about their processes. And Philippe, your tower is a 40-meter tower, which really is all about entanglement. It changes with the environmental conditions, such as temperature, humidity, wind, noise, pollution, and even ground vibration, and is connected also to many of the other works in the exhibition. Not only the fog of Fujiko, as of yesterday, there is also the dream connection to Adam and Carsten. Can you tell us a bit about the tower?
Yeah, I've been working on that project of this tower called Membrane for a while. I did a version of it in Seoul, like for a show that opened in February. And the idea of the tower is really it's a structure which is been designed with a set designer called Jem Cildo, who makes cinema. So it's important because the shape of the tower has this kind of like fictional look. So it's like it's an envelope of fiction, so to speak. And inside that fiction lives a cybernetic creature that has 52 different senses. And those senses are non-visuals, but they are bring together basically from the direction of the wind to a slight change of temperature to the vibration of the earth. And all these signals are correlated together to produce what we hear, this kind of like weird soundscape. From time to time, a voice emerges. And the voice is a voice of an actress, a Korean actress called Bae Duna, which I digitalized. And the voice now is kind of like slowly will go and eventually start to produce some kind of weird language. And but right now it's singing. And and the tower is there also echoing. We decided the tower will not listen to humans, but you pay attention to the frog a lot, and to the tram and to the things. So it's a local, basically, fiction, which is will be develop itself throughout the time of the exhibition.
Thank you so much, Philippe. And in a few words, maybe Precious to hear from you about Beloved, a work you created initially in Rome, which is very different here. It's in a greenhouse. It's an alive ecosystem, which is also poisonous. Can you tell us?
My greenhouse it's a piece I'm revisiting called The Sun Eats Her Children, and it's a poisonous greenhouse of different flowers that give you visions upon eating them. And inside of this nightmare is a teddy bear named Beloved that is waking in and out of a dream that she seems to be trapped in. And occasionally she wakes up, she lets out a scream, and then she goes back to sleep. And in the greenhouse, there are several species of butterflies that die and will reproduce and die and reproduce. And they're also trapped inside of the nightmare, who never seem to escape.
And I know that we're out of time. We can be 2 minutes over time. I just have two very last questions to Maja and Sam, because I think it's interesting to bring it back to the beginning and bring it back to the institution. No? And when we did actually the Moon Beach project, we spoke to Michel Serres, who said that maybe today's fundamental evolution of art could be to open oneself up to living species, to life, to nature. So basically, that organizations can be like living organisms. And obviously, I want to reiterate what Philippe said, how grateful we are to Maja and to Sam, because it's incredibly rare that such experiments we are describing today can happen within an institution. And I just wanted to ask you, maybe to wrap it up, to tell us a little bit about this idea of how an institution can bring in these interdisciplinary processes and what it means, in a way, for the institution for the 21st century.
I think, yes, the institution can, if it grows organically and like a living organism itself, the institution. I was very, very curious to see how it would work here in an established institution with this new show, and I am really baffled to see how well it works. But there is a let go from the side of the director, of the board, of the president, I don't know, whatever you call them, that I don't know how far they can go or not. But here I think it was wonderful to see how much things are possible within the institution. To go back to the moon via the beach, this happened in a public outside arena, in the Roman arena in Arles. Of course, we tricked a little bit the authorities who are selling the tickets. They were selling tickets to regular visitors, and the regular visitors would just bump onto the art piece. It was a complete different definition than the boldness that has been taken here, the bold step that I admire very much, and which has convinced me that I would love to continue to work together.
Yeah, I think it's already in the spirit of our collaboration. It's the spirit of in this institution that art is at the center, at the core of everything. And the people who make art are artists. And so just to be close to what art is doing and supporting what they're doing and try to create conditions under which artists can create good work and do the things that they really want to do. I think this is the one thing, let's say, the compass that we have, and that leads us hopefully into a good future.
And that is the transition to the next panel. So please join us in giving a very warm welcome. A big round of applause to the speakers, and a very warm welcome now to Adam Haar and to Carsten Höller and to Vasilis Okonomopoulos. Please give them a very, very warm welcome.